First breath I took, a life too surreal. Second breath I took was the pivot and strike, finish the kill. Influenced by might, with every sentence reveal. I won't pay back, fuck a dollar bill. Remain calm as the pressure build. Gotta endure until I let this pump whistle at my foes in memory of Emmett Till. I only live to do my master's will. And shoot BK, motherfucker. Ain't no cowards on this battlefield. Gone astray but made greater. In my return, left to my mistakes. Every error was a lesson learned. Now I don't move, let's it get approved. Won't take a step till it get confirmed. Armed and take what was made for our sakes. March like a tank. One step will make the ground shake. My people sick in their head, Lord, let this truth spread like an outbreak and bring hell at them crackers can't escape. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I want payback for the scars in the slave memoirs. Till Christ arrived, I can't let it slide. Ignore the lies. The only free will that's before your eyes is life or death, nigga, you decide. This heaven was made for me and my fellow. I patiently wait with my eyes on the sparrow. And I pull the trigger while my lips kiss the barrel. Before I ever let a white bitch do me like Othello. I want out this wicked life like Romello. By any means, this devil pulling strings like Geppetto. Lay hold on this brotherhood, I swear I never let go. And fuck that silver spoon, got too much love for the ghetto. Till the score settle with DB, I die for the cause. Just to hear them angels of blood. And I'm true by every word I say. Cause I know my victory on the way. Opponent, nigga, walk this way. This life may be hard, but I can't give up. I'm about to go hard and I won't give up. And could you tell me about this God that you feel so much? And why you look so tough? Cause it's real, I be walking with the angels. Boy, I got it may be hard, but I can't give up. I'm about to go hard and I won't give up. Could you tell me about this God that you feel so much? And why you look so tough? Cause it's real, I be walking with the angels. Boy, I can't be touched. Can't do in the clutch. They hate but they can't doubt us. We princes of the power, what you know about us? Evil all around us, but a nigga straight. I told you I can't be touched. Holy angels walk at my pace. And I'm grateful for the words that had me delivered. I'm hungry for the glory, but I ain't eating till I feed my niggas. One West, what I die for. Attire out the book of numbers, this rifle from the Archangel Michael. My niggas rebels, you can't deny them. It's one for the foe. I be running to and fro with the Allah higher. My UPK soldiers ain't no folding or pretending. We in it for them crowns, fuck friends, we want dominion. In the election season, I hope I make it through. Give a damn what a bitch think, as long as my niggas know I'm true. Betray your kind to get success. You make it through the eye of the steel, nigga. I be as life may be hard, but I can't give up. I'm about to go hard and I won't give up. And could you tell me about this God that you feel so much? And why you look so tough? Cause it's real, I be walking with them angels. Boy, I got it may be hard, but I can't give up. I'm about to go hard and I won't give up. Could you tell me about this God that you feel so much? And why you look so tough? Cause it's real, I be walking with them angels. Boy, I can't be touched.
Playing on this track right here, nah. It's right here.
No cowards, no excuse, you understand?
It's an event every time we come through. Commanding General, your honor, and this heavy hitting crew. Real with an attitude. How about you? I repeat, real with an attitude. How about you? The Chronicles of the King, 69 to the present. Hardcore Nazarenes, we ain't never been a peasant. Like the ghetto was a present, holding everything pleasant in the Most High's present. His silver and gold is precious. They thought it was effervescent. Get in class, learn your lesson. Out the belly of the beast will increase. At least observe the feast of Yahweh. Eat some lamb, make connections. He's a little sanctuary, no question. We ain't ever been crabs in the barrel. This is life under Pharaoh. From a lifestyle apparel to walk in the straight narrow, more right than your average battle for the price of a sparrow. Using practical knowledge, not just an arrow. This is ice in the mirror. They cutting us like the grass, keep plucking us out the past. Yeah, punish us out the ass. I tell you, I tell my people that love them about the criminal justice, about the past. Then we stuff in the ego. These vultures are evil. Just look at what they done to our people. Covered up the face of the judges with paint on for easel. I be meditating terrorists and deliver my keynote. UPK, we got diesel. No cowards forever. We go while you use us like that. We bringing back the Lord's nation with much long suffering. The campus in concentration in spite of the correlations they information they be taking and heeding. We bout to stage an invasion. We got the streets in a rage once the priest hit the pavement. Vengeance from the Lord is the white man payment. The prophets of Yahweh ain't nothing to play with. Some of you gone lukewarm. Stay lit, y'all complacent. We stay spitting yoga fire in your faces. Freeing the flock of the slaughter from out of this matrix. The definition of racist is believing you're on top. And as a matter of fact, we got that position on lock. It shouldn't come as a shock. Yasha Allah won't stop when we come back to our power. Who wanna walk with the bomber glide? We keep the summer hot, winter on icicle. You get that spiritual power, ain't gotta buy a pistol. Ripping bodies, caught by the gristle. No harm, you're struck by a missile. You serve Yahweh, you're invincible. Gotta be one of the 12 tribes of Israel, a nation under God indivisible. Our power is critical, from analog to digital. We coming back. UPK ain't running, but we running that pay your tithes where that money at. Put on the dummy hat, thinking it's cool. We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger. Real Tony raised up one of his people for rulership. UPK gon' be ruling. Yahweh Shah is ruling with an iron rod. The only dialogue is kind out of one kind. You don't like it, you could die a fugitive and vagabond. Me, I'ma have cattle and a catalog of slaves. Tell the nations get in shape, otherwise we do nuking them. They gonna build Jerusalem. Christians would call it safe. You can call it what you want, but them roads better be gold paved. Straight out of these OKs, 1,000 years for sin. Picking cotton, no shit. Finger pricking, blood dripping from all the thorns. I'll be keeping the bench warm. You've been warned before.
ISUPK presents the Lord's 51st annual Passover.
This is crazy, y'all. We in the arena. Okay, I can't explain to you the level that is. This place is gonna be packed with the children of the Lord shouting in one word and one name to him.
On Thursday, April 9th, 2020 at sundown, we're going to be holding the Lord's 51st annual Passover.
I ain't a people pleaser. I don't like people either. I don't care if you're not the jigger and wanna meet you. Just give me my mother.
We're going to be located at the Westchester County Center, 198 Central Ave, White Plains, New York, 10606. $100 for all adults 17 and over. Kids are for free. Start sending in your funds today. For booking information, check us out on the ISUPK 51st Annual Passover Facebook page. More updates will be available soon. Last but not least, Israel, Commandant General Yohana will be accepting the men willing to stand for the Hebrew Academy 2021. The Lord's 51st Annual Passover. ISUPK presents the
Swap. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabbarakatah. Told the Akim, Shalom, Yahweh Shamar, Latham, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah to the Akwakim.
Let me get closer to your mic.
No sweat. That's better. Swap. All right, so this week's history class, of course, every Monday in Detroit will be from 6 to 8 until further notice. I am your host, teacher, Kazak Amaf, officer of 1,000. I'm here with Mashah, who's also officer of 1,000, mighty man in the UPK. What we want to get off into is part 1 of the road to Passover. All right, so what's supposed to be celebrated as Passover is what you would call Easter. You know what I'm saying? So Easter shows up one time in the Bible, and what it means is Passover. It's no such thing as a rabbit that lay eggs in the Bible, nowhere in Scripture. That's a pagan holiday that you're actually celebrating that has nothing to do with the Bible. You understand? So, long story short, you got the rabbit, which symbolizes a lot of sexual intercourse, for lack of a better term. And the egg, which symbolizes fertility. So what they're doing is sacrificing a rabbit and an egg, and some God-forsaken so-called priest will come and take that and do whatever he wanted to do with it. And that woman or a woman and man will pray for a child or a child of a certain gender. But this being a history class, I'm going to run it down to you, first starting with how we even got into Egypt in the first place, which takes us to Genesis 41 and 1. And we're going to read down and get the history of it. So therefore, we're going to start off and teach you, give you the knowledge so you know how we even got into Egypt before things went south in Egypt for us. Us being the Hebrew Israelites, Black, Native, and Hispanics. You understand? So, Mashal, when you get it, let me know. Genesis 41 and 1.
Khan. Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed. And behold, he stood by the river.
Now this scripture right here is going to show you exactly how, we're going to get into it a little deeper. But right now we finna show you how Joseph, one of the sons of Israel, or Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, how he ended up rising to power in Egypt. And is also going to come hand in hand with, this was all a part of the Lord's plan, of course. Now, Joseph was sold by his brothers into bondage in Egypt. And when he was there, he was, of course, a servant. Now, he rose to power, and this scripture right here is going to show you exactly how he rose to power and what caused him to rise to power. Go ahead, run that back for me, Michelle.
Khan.
The water.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed.
Pharaoh had a dream. Go ahead.
And behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fatted flesh.
Okay.
And they fed in a meadow.
Okay, so right now what it's about to do is describe this dream that Pharaoh had. And we're going to jump down a little bit to where he called Joseph. But before he called up Joseph to basically explain the dream, he asked a few other people that was under his service, and they couldn't do it. But once he heard about Joseph, he called Joseph up, and Joseph came to give him, basically to tell him what the dream meant. I can't think of the word, but it's going to give us the word, of course, in the scripture. But Joseph's going to be the one to tell him exactly what his dream meant. He's going to translate this dream for him. Let me know when you got that part of the scripture.
Khan.
You got it?
Khan.
Oh, go ahead, proceed to read.
Genesis 41, verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself and changed his raiment
and came in unto Pharaoh.
Now I'm saying he shaved himself and changed his raiment, which means he gave himself a clean shave. You know, in the UPK, we don't mar our beard and our hairline. We don't shave our beard and all of that stuff. We let them know that it was an Egyptian custom. So imagine any brother getting ready for a job interview or court or something like that. He would go get a haircut and he'd shave his face and all that different type of stuff. Throw on his best garment, whatever he got that makes himself look presentable for where he's going, whether it be court or anything like that. Go ahead.
Khan, Allah Khan. And verse 15. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed the dream.
Okay.
And there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it.
Okay, so what he's explaining right now to Joseph is he had a dream. And these people he called on beforehand, before he called on Joseph, couldn't interpret this dream. Sometime during the story, somebody let him know that they had dreamed, two Egyptians had dreamed the same dream, and Joseph was able to interpret these dreams for him. So now he's hoping Joseph can do the same thing for him in his dream. Go ahead.
Khan, Allah Khan.
No sweat.
And Joseph answered, verse 16, and Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
Go ahead.
Verse 17, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river.
Okay.
Verse 18, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow.
Okay.
And verse 19, and behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness.
Go ahead. Do me a favor. Jump down to where Joseph interpreted the dream. So he described the same dream again that he described before, and in hopes of Joseph interpreting his dream for him. So we're gonna jump down to where Joseph actually interpreted the dream, and it's gonna bring us into the gist of the whole matter of what we finna get into for today's lesson. Go ahead.
Khan Allah Khan. Genesis 41, verse 25. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do.
God has shown Pharaoh in the dream what the Most High is about to do. So these are things that's about to come to pass, and he was showing Pharaoh in the dream, but Pharaoh could not understand it. Go ahead.
Verse 26. The 7 good kind are 7 years.
So the 7 in the dream, he described 7 good kind that came up, and Joseph's letting him know this describes 7 years. Go ahead.
And the 7 good years are 7 years.
7 good years. Go ahead.
The dream is one. Verse 27, and the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty years blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine.
So he's telling him there will be 7 good years, but there will also be 7 good years of famine. There's going to come a time of famine on his land, and he's warning him ahead of time. So he told Joseph of his dream. Now they both is coming to for both of them to understand that it's a time of famine coming upon Egypt and upon the land. Go ahead.
Verse 28. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Verse 29. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt.
There will be 7. This is the 7 good years he's described. He said there will be 7 good years of great plenty, which means it's going to be a lot of everything: food, water, crops, animals. You know what I'm saying? Of the herds and all this. You know what I'm saying? So he's letting them know there will be, before this famine, there will come 7 good years of all these great things, and it will be plenteous in the land. You understand? So it's basically letting them know they got a chance to do what they need to do, because it's going to be 7 good years. And after that, it's going to be 7 bad years. Go ahead.
Verse 30. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine.
7 years of famine, which means no water, no food, no stock. Either none, little to none. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be very little. It won't be able to feed everybody. A lot of people will go hungry, thirsty. You know what I'm saying? They would be in a famine situation. You know what I mean? So these things that was once plenteous will now be scarce, and this is what a famine is. Go ahead.
And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt.
Which means they're going to forget all about the plenteous, the many things that they once had when there was abundance of all these foods and waters and crops and all of this thing. They're going to forget all about it. You know what I'm saying? During this famine, they're going to forget that they had it so luxurious once upon a time, or 7 years prior. Go ahead.
And the famine shall consume the land.
It shall consume the land, which means the famine shall spread across the land. Read.
Verse 31. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous.
Okay, which means, once again, they're not going to remember when everything was plenteous, when there was abundance of it, there was a lot of it. Because the famine is going to be so grievous on them, they just won't remember. All they going to know is the times has been bad. You know what I'm saying? It's been so long that we've been hungry, so long that we've been thirsty. They won't even remember that not too long ago, you was splurging. You know what I'm saying? Probably pouring water out. You know what I'm saying? Throwing food out because you had so much of it. But now that it's scarce, you don't even remember those times, much like people do today. Go ahead. Was that the end of that one?
It just goes on to say, and for that the dream was double unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass.
So this famine was going to be brought to them by the Most High God. It said it was doubled unto him just to basically bring that point home, to hit it a little harder, to make him understand that this thing was sure to come, which means it was positively coming and with no doubt about it, with no changing. Go over to Genesis 42 and 1. Yeah, Genesis 42 and 1. Gonna jump over. Actually, yep, 42 and 1. Now we're gonna get off into when this famine struck. We're gonna read about the course of it. Now, understand that this famine, and basically Joseph interpreted that dream to where he knew the famine. Pharaoh knew the famine was coming. He was thankful, and this is the process that led Joseph to be high up in the land of Egypt. Remember, he was just a servant. They called him out of the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? He got shaved up, changed his clothes so he can go meet with Pharaoh and kick with him on this dream so he can interpret it for him. Now this is where we at. Genesis 42 and 1. Go ahead, read.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt.
Now, with this being said, let me bring y'all up to point a little bit more. Jacob is Israel. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. You will hear them call him Jacob, and then they would call him Israel back and forth because his name was originally Jacob. It was changed into Israel, the father of the Israelites. He had 12 sons. Now, they were also experiencing this famine because they lived in the land of Canaan. This was their land. So with them experiencing famine, Slocky, if you can, find for me where Joseph Joseph put up corn. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Stay where you at. So during the mid times in between these two times, the time we read and what we're about to read, Joseph stored away food. You know what I'm saying? In these different storehouses. He rose up into power, and Pharaoh told everybody in the land, he let them know to do as Joseph tells you. He's second in command to the Pharaoh in this land. He went from being in a dungeon, just a servant, to answering to nobody but Pharaoh. Now, they knew this famine was coming, so he stored away food and other things in these storehouses. So now the famine has hit. You know what I'm saying? The land no longer has crops and clean water or water at all, or you know what I'm saying, flocks or herds of beasts that they can slaughter and eat. So now it's to a point where everybody's coming to Joseph to buy their crops. They coming to Joseph to buy this corn. They coming to Joseph to get this meat and all these different things. And he's still living in abundance. He's blessed in his land. You understand? Pharaoh's doing good because of Joseph in his land. So of course he's thankful for Joseph. You know what I'm saying? And he keeps him to a high standard in this land. Now we jumping back to Jacob, also known as Israel. And his sons, the sons that still was with him, that sold Joseph into Egypt in the first place. So they're experiencing a famine too, because they're technically still in the land of Canaan, which is now their land. And he heard about the corn that was in Egypt. At this point, they don't know who has the corn, who's selling the corn. They just know it's corn in Egypt, and he gonna send his sons to go and get some of this corn because they're starving as well, so it could avoid their deaths. You know what I'm saying? So he sent his sons out, but during this story, you're gonna notice a few things. Like, you just gonna notice a few things. We're gonna read up on it and I'm gonna break it down to you as we go on. So the things that you would notice is that basically it's gonna just show you how they coming into Egypt and why they ended up in Egypt in the first place. Go ahead and read, Mashal.
Genesis 42:1. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt.
When Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, which means he had heard that it was corn in Egypt. He might not have physically seen the corn, but it said Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, which means it got to him through the grapevine. Somebody let him know that there was corn. He found out. Go ahead.
Jacob said unto his sons, why do ye look one upon another?
Why are you sitting there looking at each other? Go ahead.
Verse 2, and he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt.
I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Read.
Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
Go down there and buy some of this corn so we can live and not die. Like I said, they're experiencing this famine as well. Go ahead.
One more time. Verse 3, and Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. Verse 4, but Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him.
Okay, so what just happened here is Jacob sends his 10 sons down into Egypt to go get this corn. Remember, there's 12 tribes of Israel. He sends 10 of his sons down into Egypt to go retrieve or purchase corn so they can have something to eat. But he did not send Benjamin. He did not send Benjamin, his youngest son, because he said mischief will fall upon him. Something might happen to him. He feared this for a certain reason, and we're going to get off into that reason as well. But he did not let Benjamin go out of fear something might happen to him. Go ahead.
Verse 5, and the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan.
The famine was in the land of Canaan, which is where Jacob and his sons dwelt. Read.
Verse 6, and Joseph was the governor over the land.
Joseph was the governor over the land. Remember, he rose to power from just being a lowly servant to being the governor over the land, only answering to Pharaoh, so that makes him second in command. Go ahead.
And he it was that sold to all the people of the land.
He the one selling to everybody. He the one plug and the one source for corn. Read.
And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. Verse 7, and Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but he made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them.
So when Joseph seen his brother, remember, the last time he seen them, they were selling him into servitude in Egypt. They came and they kneeled down to him, you know what I'm saying? And when he seen his brothers, he knew it was them. But he made himself strange to them, which means he acted as a stranger. They didn't know that that was their brother. You know what I'm saying? He spoke, it said he spoke what?
Roughly
with them, which means it's like when you go into the stores and you just got that rude person behind the counter that you can't stand no way. They just speak to you like you just nobody, or talk to you like he don't need your money. You know what I mean? So he spoke roughly with them and made himself strange, which means he kept himself. He basically hid who he was from them. So they would still think he was a stranger or somebody they just encountering for the first time. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food.
Where do you come from? We come from the land of Canaan. We came to buy food. Read.
Verse 8, And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him.
Joseph knew his brethren, but they didn't know him, like I just said. Go ahead.
Verse 9, And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and he said unto them, Ye are spies. To see the nakedness of the land ye are come.
Go ahead.
Verse 10, And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come.
Okay, so when he seen them and they began to talk, he remembered the dreams he dreamed of them, and he accused them of being spies. After he asked where they come from, and they told him, we come from the land of Canaan, so on and so forth. But he said, no, y'all spies. And they said, no, we not spies. See, he was accusing them of being spies, saying they came to see the nakedness of the land. They came to see how the land had been famished, if that's the word for it. And they now is trying to tell them what they really came there for. But this is all due to a plan that he had in mind anyway. Go ahead and read.
I want come. And they said unto him, Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. Verse 11, We are all one man's sons.
We are all one man's sons. That man being Jacob or Israel. Go ahead.
We are true men. Thy servants are no spies.
We are true men. We are honest men. And y'all servants are no spies. Go ahead.
Verse 12, And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come.
He said, no, y'all come here to see the nakedness of the land. He basically putting it like, I don't believe what you talking about. What you talking about don't sound right to me. Y'all spies. He ain't let that subject go. He not letting them slide with them just saying a certain thing. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 13, And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan.
Thy servants are 12 brothers, the servants of one man in the land of Canaan. What they're describing to him, or basically telling him, that we are just 12 brothers out of one man that dwells in Canaan. They don't know that this is actually one of the 12 brothers that they're talking about. Jacob, or Israel, is his father too. This is their brother. Read.
And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not.
He said the youngest is still with our father. They're talking about Benjamin. And they said one is not. They're speaking of Joseph. At this point in time, they think Joseph died. They don't know what happened to their brother. They think he's dead. That's what's in their mind. That's why they say the youngest is with our father, speaking of Benjamin, and one is not, speaking of Joseph. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 14, And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Verse 15, Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither.
All right, now what he's saying is you can't enter this land. You can't come back to buy no more, none of that, unless you got your youngest brother with you. His interest in seeing his younger brothers, because those two shared the same mother. And they believe Joseph to have died, so Benjamin, the youngest, is the only son that he have of that mother. Go ahead, read.
Come. Verse 16, Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely ye are spies.
He said, now send one back to fetch your brother, unless while he fetch him, the rest of you gonna be held here imprisoned until he get back, basically, with the youngest brother. Joseph's interest right now is to see his younger brother. He really wants to see Benjamin, the youngest of the 12 tribes, the youngest brother of Israel. That's who he's interested in seeing the most. The brother he was close to, and that comes of the same mother as him. He wants to see him. But he's also doing this without letting them know who he is or why it is that he want to see him. And as we go on, you'll notice the favoritism he showed Benjamin this entire time. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go ahead and keep reading with that. And keep in mind, Benjamin, his younger brother, who the father do not want to go because this is his youngest son who he loved, and it's the only son that he have of that wife. Read.
And he put them all together into ward 3 days. Verse 18, and Joseph said unto them the third day, this do and live, for I fear God. Verse 19, if ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so.
And so what just happened here is, he said, in order to verify your word to be true, send one of your brothers to go and fetch Benjamin, your youngest brother. He didn't call him by name, he just said your youngest brother. And then it would verify your word. So he still gave him the corn, and it's going to show that he gave him a few other things. He did a few other things for him, but he said, you got to come back with their youngest brother, or else ye die. Now remember, he was going to keep one, so they have to return, or they was going to lose another brother. Read on.
Verse 21, and they said one to another, we are very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear him. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
Now they sitting there talking to each other, not knowing that he was listening, I believe, or that he can understand them or something like that. And they were saying, since we did this one thing to our brother, speaking of Joseph, who they was talking to, they just didn't know it was him. But since we did this to him, this distress is upon us. We're being punished for what we did to our brother. Read on.
Verse 22, and Reuben answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying,
Reuben said, did I not tell you, saying this thing? Go ahead.
Do not sin against the child.
Do not sin against Joseph, who they're speaking of but don't know. Do not sin against him. Read.
And ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required.
Now, I spoke these things saying, don't sin against this child. Don't do this to our brother. But you didn't hear it. You wouldn't listen. You did it anyway. Them thinking he was dead said, now his blood is what?
Is required.
Is required of you. He died because of you. His blood is required of you. This is a punishment that we're going through. They think he's dead. But really, he's sitting right there and listening to them speak. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And they knew not that Joseph understood them.
They didn't know that he understood them. They thought he was just some Egyptian, pretty much. They thought he was some stranger they had ran into. They didn't know he could understand them. He had been speaking to them through a translator this entire time. That's how he made himself a stranger. Earlier in the story when it said he made himself a stranger to them, he didn't speak to them directly. He spoke to them, but they had a translator right there to translate every word. They didn't know he understood the Hebrew that they were speaking. Read on.
For he spake unto them by an interpreter. Verse 24. And he turned himself about from them and wept.
He turned himself away from them and wept, because now he realized that they think he's dead, and they don't know who he is, and they brought up that situation, and it kind of hardened his heart or how he was going about it, you know what I'm saying, with his brothers, because of course he still had love for his brothers. And it said he turned away from them and wept where they wouldn't see it, you know what I'm saying? Read on.
And returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes.
Okay, so he communed with them and took from them Simeon. Now, they basically chained or locked Simeon up right before their eyes. This is the brother that he was going to keep, while the rest of them went to go get the youngest brother and take the corn that he had given them back to their father. Go ahead.
Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provisions for the way, and thus did he unto them.
Okay, so he had told his servant to fill their sacks full of corn and give them some stuff for along the way, and put their money back into their sacks as well. He told this to a servant. So they didn't know that he was doing this. They just knew they was gonna be on their way back. He gave them what they need plus the money that they brought in order to buy the corn. You know what I'm saying? So he gave it back and had his servant put it into his brother's bags. Read on.
And as one of them opened his sack, Salakia, verse 26, and they laded their asses with the corn and departed thence.
And they laded their asses with the corn and departed thence, which means they basically put the sacks of corns on their donkeys. You know, another word for donkey is ass or jackass, and they put the little sacks across the donkeys with the corn and stuff in it. Everything he commanded his servant to put in there, he put it on the donkey again. And he said they departed thence, which means then they departed, they left, they went back to take the corn back to their father or to the crib or whatever you want to call it. Go ahead.
And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, he espied his money.
Okay, so one of them opened their sacks to give food to their donkey. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you hear ass, it's talking about the donkey. He opened their sacks so he could feed his donkey and seen that his money was back in that bag. You know what I'm saying? They was kind of lost about why that money was in the bag, or he was. Read on.
For behold, it was in his sack's mouth. Verse 28. And he said unto his brethren, my money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God has done unto us?
Now, when he let his brothers know that he looked in his bag and the money was still in there, they got nervous and they got scared. Because remember, their brother is still back there. They still have their brother. And they look in the bag and see that their money is in there. They're like, what has the Most High done to us? They're afraid of what's going to become of the whole thing. Read on.
Verse 29. And they came unto Jacob their father unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, the man who is the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. Verse 31, and he said unto him, we said unto him, we are true men, we are no spies. Verse 32, we be 12 brethren, sons of one father, one is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan.
So they just gave their father Jacob, aka Israel, the rundown of what happened once they got down there in Egypt. They gave him the whole rundown of what happened because, of course, he probably looking for the son that's not there. Read on.
Come. Verse 33. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. 34. And bring your youngest brother unto me, then shall I know that ye are no spies.
Now, they told him what he just said. Remember, the father did not want Benjamin to go. He's keeping Benjamin close. He didn't let him go in the first place because he didn't want nothing to come upon Benjamin. He didn't want nothing to happen to his youngest son. Once again, because the only other son that he had by the same mother, they thought was dead. So it's not going to sit well with him because he didn't want him to go in the first place. It can't sit well with them explaining. This is the whole reason they gave him the whole rundown of what happened, just to lead up into telling him that thing. You don't want your youngest son to go, but he's requiring that your youngest son, Benjamin, comes down. Otherwise, we can't get our brother back. Read on.
So will I deliver your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. Verse 35. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack.
So they let him know, like, when you come back with your youngest brother, then you can traffic through this land. Then I'll give your brother back. They explained it all to him. Then they went to empty their sacks of all the things that they had brought back, the corn that they had brought back, and peeped that all of them had gotten their money back. So basically, they had got all this stuff for free. You know what I'm saying? It was able to keep their money. Now read on.
And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid.
When they saw the bundles of money, they was afraid. Like, okay, so y'all went down there and got all of this, but y'all still have y'all money. They nervous now. This looks bad. This can't be good. You know what I'm saying? So now they became nervous and afraid of what's to come. Read on.
Come. Verse 36. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me.
Okay, so you come back, and now is Joseph is no longer with me. Simeon is no longer with me, and you want me to send Benjamin back with you? I done lost 2 sons. You want me to send my youngest one that I said I do not want nothing to happen to, that I'm going to hold near so nothing happened to him? You want me to send him as well now? After 2 sons have already been taken from me? Go ahead.
Come. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee.
If we don't bring him back to you, then you can kill my 2 sons if we don't bring him back. Read.
Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again.
Send Benjamin back with me. Put him in my hands, in my care, and I'll bring him back with me. Go ahead.
Verse 38. And he said, My son shall not go down with you.
He ain't going. Read.
For his brother is dead.
For Joseph is dead. Read.
And he is left alone.
He is left alone, the only one. Go ahead.
If mischief befall him by the way in which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave.
Okay, so if something happens to him on the way to where you going, then shall sorrow bring down my gray hairs into the grave, which means he gonna die of stress. He's gonna die of anguish. You know what I mean? Like he just lost a son that he tried his best not to lose. If I send him with you and something happen, I'm gonna die. That's what he's telling you. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna send me to my grave. This is what he's telling his sons. Read.
Genesis 43, verse 1. And the famine was sore in the land. Verse 2. And it came to pass when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go again, buy us a little food.
Now, he's telling them, listen, go back down there, take this money, and buy some more food. You know what I'm saying? We need more food. Take this and go buy more food. Read on.
Come. Verse 3. And Judah spake unto him, saying,
Judah, the 4th-born son. Now he's talking with his father, Jacob, also known as Israel. Read.
The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, You shall not see my face, except your brother be with you.
We can't talk to him. We won't see him unless our little brother Benjamin is with us. Read.
Verse 4. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food.
If you send Benjamin with us, we'll go buy you food. It's the only way. Otherwise, if you don't send Benjamin with us, we can't go down there and buy no more food. We can't get it. He's not gonna see us. He's not gonna talk to us if our younger brother is not with us. Plus, he still got our other brother. This is the only way it's gonna happen, pops. This is what they're telling their father. Read on.
Verse 5. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you.
Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Israel said, Wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother? Verse 7. And they said, The man asked us straightly of our state and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words.
Yep. So basically, Jacob right now is like, why you even tell him you got a little brother? What made you even tell him that you have a little brother? What made you do it? And they like, well, shoot, he asked us straightly. He asked us straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying, of the family or where you come from and all these questions, and we just answered them. You know what I'm saying? He already spoke to us roughly, so we just answered his questions. That way we can make this go a little bit smoother and we can get what we need, basically. Read on.
Could we certainly know that he would say, bring your brother down?
How will we know that he was going to say, oh, well, I need your brother the next time y'all come? Bring him down with you. We had no idea that he would say something like that. Read.
Verse 8, and Judah said unto Israel his father, send the lad with me.
Send him with me. Send Benjamin with me. Read.
And we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. Verse 9, I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee, then set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever.
Now, send him with me. If we go down here and I don't bring him back to you, then punish me. I'll take the blame and responsibility for him not returning home. If he don't return home, it's my fault. It's Judah's fault. You understand? That's what Judah just told him. He put himself on the line, promising that, hey, if he don't come back, it's on me. Keep reading.
Verse 10, for except we had lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. Verse 11, and their father Israel said unto them, if it must be so now, do this. Take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds. Verse 12, and take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks, carry it again in your hand. Peradventure, it was an oversight.
So what happened here is he went ahead and gave in. Because if Benjamin didn't go, then they couldn't go back, which means they was going to starve to death. They was going to die of famine. If he did go, then the worst scenario, he can lose Benjamin, and he was going to die either way it went. So the best he can do is he sent them back with Benjamin, and he had them take gifts, the myrrh and the honey, as gifts for the man. They took double the money, plus the money that was in their sacks that was sent back from last time. So they're trying to get on his better side and work up good favor with the brother, so he doesn't do anything ill to Benjamin. They will be able to bring Benjamin back. They're trying to better their chances of this situation turning out good for him. You understand? So read on.
Verse 13, take also your brother and arise, go again unto the man. Verse 14, and God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. Verse 15, and the men took that present, and they took double money in their hand, and Benjamin, and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph.
So they took everything he said take them. He told them to take, plus Benjamin, and they went down there and stood before Joseph. Now it's finna get down to what's exactly finna happen in his reasoning for asking for Benjamin, which I kind of gave it away, Salakia, but all right, read on.
Verse 16, and when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, bring these men home and slay and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon.
Now he told his servant, take the men home, which means to Joseph's house, and slay. So slay here just means to slaughter a beast. They finna get ready to eat some food. And he's basically finna make a meal for them in his home. They gonna dine with him. Read on.
Verse 17, and the man did as Joseph bade.
He did what he told him to do. Read.
And the man brought the men into Joseph's house. Verse 18, the men were afraid, and the men were afraid.
They was nervous and afraid. Read.
Because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time we are brought in. that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen in our asses.
Okay, so they thinking right now that, okay, man, Joseph, they don't know it's Joseph at the time. I'm saying Joseph so you understand who I'm talking about. They saying, man, basically, this man, speaking of Joseph, is bringing us to his house, so basically he can ambush us. We gonna get here, he gonna ambush us, and he gonna put us in bondage, man. It's all because of this money that came back in our sacks, man. He basically they saying, oh, he thought we just ripped them off. This money was in our bags. He don't have the money. He finna ambush us and end up making us servants here in Egypt. We ain't gonna be able to make it back. Read on.
Come, verse 19. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house. Verse 20, and said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. Verse 21, and it came to pass, when we came to the end, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight, and we have brought it again in our hand.
Okay, so they tried to basically explain to the man, this was the servant they were speaking to, correct, Michelle?
Shalakia?
They was talking to the servant at this time, right?
Come.
Okay, so the servant that took him back to the house upon Joseph's orders, they tried to stop and explain to him, like, listen, man, we seen that the money was in our bags on the way back. We brought it back, you know what I'm saying? We ain't mean nothing by it. It was an accident. It wasn't something we tried to do. We brought it here. We don't want no problems. All in a nutshell is what they were saying to him. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, read on.
Come, verse 22. And other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks.
We don't know who put this money in his bag. We brought it, but somebody put it in our bag. We don't know who. Read on.
Verse 23. And he said, peace be to you. Fear not. Your God and the God of your father have given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money, and he brought Simeon out unto them.
So now he let him know, man, it's all good. It's peace unto you, man. It's shalom, basically. He like, I had your money, and I put it back in there. He sent you guys with gifts and all of this. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't nothing to worry about. Then he brought their brother back to him. Which brother was it? Simeon. They brought Simeon back unto him. So now they're all back together. They got Simeon back, Benjamin with him. He let them know it's all good, man. I put the money back in there. You know what I'm saying? And we sent y'all with the extra gift. So it's all good. It's nothing but peace here. Now they can feel it, so they can feel at ease again. Go ahead. No sweat. But yeah, it was. Let me know when you have it. Okay, go ahead then.
And the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender.
Okay, so he basically brought them water so they can wash up. They wash their feet. You know, they rock sandals back then, so their feet be dirty. When you come into somebody's house, you wash your feet. And he also fed the donkeys again. And go ahead.
Verse 25, and they made ready the present against Joseph came at noon.
Okay, so what happened was, it said they made presents against him, which means they put out gifts for him. Basically, they prepared the gifts that they had brought for him so that they can work up good favor with him. Read on.
For they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house.
They gave him the gifts when he got there. Read.
And bowed themselves to him to the earth. Verse 27, he asked of them their welfare and said, is your father well?
Now he's asking them, how they doing out there, man? How y'all doing in Canaan? How y'all living? Is your father well? Is he good? Read on.
The old man of whom ye spake.
That old man which you spoke. Remember, they don't know this is Joseph still. Their brother. Read.
Is he yet alive?
Is he alive? Is he living? Basically, is my father still alive, man? This old man y'all spoke of, is he still alive? Joseph don't even know if his father is still alive at this point in time. Read on.
Verse 28. And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health.
Let him know he was good. Read.
He is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads and made obeisance. Verse 29. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother, of whom ye spake unto me?
Now he looked up and he see Benjamin. The one he been trying to get them to bring down here, he waited on his arrival. He looked up and he see his youngest brother Benjamin, the other son that his mother had. They have the same mother and father, these two. Read.
And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother. And he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there.
So when he seen his brother, man, it moved him on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you just seen your brother for the first time in years, man. You ain't seen your little brother in so long. And when you finally see him, everything in you is chock full of emotion. So he left out so he could seek prayer and weep, which means he cried. He hadn't seen his brother in so long. You ever had that loved one or relative you haven't seen in years, and when you finally see him, you couldn't do nothing but cry, man? But remember, he not to let them know that he's Joseph right now. They don't know they looking at their brother. Benjamin don't know he's looking at his older brother that's from his same mother. You know what I'm saying? This is something that's major to them, that's special to them. And he don't even know that he looking at him right now. You know what I'm saying? He don't even know he talking to him right now. Go ahead, read.
One more time. Verse 31. And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, Set on bread. Verse 32. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which did not eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians.
So everybody sat in their own places to eat, and Egyptians set off by themselves and ate their bread, because for the Egyptians to sit and eat bread with the Hebrews is abomination to the Egyptians. So to them, to eat bread with the Hebrews is something that causes hatred. Abomination means to cause hatred, and with the Egyptians. So it was abomination to the Egyptians, so they ate off by themselves. Read on.
Verse 33. And they set before him the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled at one another, one at another.
So they sat there eating, and they set in order from the eldest according to his birthright all the way down to the youngest according to his youth, him being the youngest one and being in his youth, pretty much. And they sat there and they marveled at each other, like amazed, just looking at each other. You know what I mean? So read on.
Verse 34. And he took and sent messes unto them from before him. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him.
So remember I said you would notice how he shows favor to Benjamin. He shows favor to him throughout this whole situation. Once Benjamin got there, he laid out eyes on Benjamin, his little brother. He showed him favor throughout. When they brought plates out, he had 5 times more. They brought drinks, he had 5 times more. He got more than everybody else. Anytime he gave them anything, Benjamin got more of it. Read on.
Genesis 44, verse 1. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. Verse 2. And put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his corn money. And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. Verse 3. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city, and not yet far off, Joseph said...
Oh, okay, so what just happened was He did the same thing he did before, build their sacks when they was about to be on their way. And he put his silver cup in Benjamin's sack. So, question, was this a favor that he was doing to Benjamin? Or no? You know what I'm saying? Was this one of those favors that he was doing to Benjamin, or is this something that he had something planned in mind, an altar plan in mind? What you think, Michelle?
I think he had something else up out of line.
Something else planned. You a wise brother. I shouldn't have asked you.
Okay.
You know a lot. But yeah, so we're gonna read on though.
I want to come. Verse 4. And when they were gone out of the city and not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, Up, follow after the men, and when thou dost overtake them, say unto them, Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? Verse 5. Is not this it in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? Ye have done evil in so doing. Verse 6. And he overtook them, and he spake unto them these same words.
So what just happened was he put that cup in Benjamin's bag, and he told his servant to follow him, and eventually he wanted him to overtake him, which stop him, and accuse them of rewarding good with evil, or returning evil unto good. So Joseph had done all these things for them, you know what I'm saying, fed them and fed their donkeys and all of that stuff, returned their money twice at this point, plus double the money, plus the money they had the last time that he returned. And so the evil that he spoke of was this cup that he had his servant secretly put into Benjamin's bag. Read on.
Come. And they said unto him, Wherefore saith my Lord these words? God forbid that thy servant should do according to this thing. Verse 8, Behold, the money which we found in our sacks mouths, we brought again unto thee out of the land of Canaan.
Right.
How then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver or gold?
Right, so they basically saying like, look, that's not our way to steal. We are honest people, we don't steal. You know what I'm saying? That's against our laws. As Hebrews, we do not steal. As Israelites, we do not steal. And they told them, even when we came back with the money the last time, we brought that back plus double the money this time. You know what I'm saying? So why would we come in the house and steal silver and gold when we brought you all this money in the first place? You know what I'm saying? We showed you we was honest in the first place. Read on.
Come. With whomsoever of thy servants it be found, both let him die, and we also will be my Lord's bondmen.
So if you find that which you say was taken or stolen in one of our bags, whoever bag you find it in, let him die. And the rest of us will be your servant. Because they confident that they haven't stole anything, which they hadn't. So they had all rights to be that confident. So they said, let him die who you find it on, and we'll be your servants if this thing happens. Read on.
Come. Verse 10. And he said, Now also let it be according unto your words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and ye shall be blameless.
Okay, he said now, basically they finna search it. We gonna search it. And let it be that whoever we find it on shall be my servant, and the rest of you shall be blameless. Read on.
Come. Then they speedily took down every man his sack to the ground, and opened every man his sack. And he searched and began at the eldest and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack.
So he started with the oldest when he began searching their sacks, their bags. He started with the oldest and went all the way down to the youngest, which was who? It was Benjamin. Benjamin, his brother, who he loved and missed, obviously, and they found it in his sack. So his plan the whole time and reason for putting that cup in Benjamin's bag was so he can keep his brother there with him. He said to be a servant, but we can see by how he treated his brother that he was not going to be no servant. If he was, he wouldn't have known much that he was a servant. You know what I mean? So now at this point, they're about to lose Benjamin. Benjamin is not about to return. Their father is going to trip because Benjamin, his son, who he didn't want to go, he told him, if you don't return to Benjamin, if mischief finds Benjamin on the way there, I'm going to die. He's going to send me to my grave. So at this point, they got a problem. Read on.
Verse 13, then they rent their clothes and laid it every man his ass and returned to the city.
When they rent their clothes, that's like a sign in Israel where it's like something we did, like you tear your clothes. You ever seen somebody mad, they tear their clothes, or when they get sad at this point in time, they like rub ashes in their face and different stuff like that. So it's to show anguish or pain or sadness when they rent their clothes. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 14, and Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, what deed is this that ye have done? Wot ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine?
Okay, so they returned back to Joseph's house. All of them went back. And they need to go reason with Joseph. And he asked them again, what is that you have done? You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, I thought y'all was honest men. Read on.
Come. Verse 16. And Joseph said, what shall we say unto my Lord? And Judah said, Salakia, what shall we say unto my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are thy Lord's servants, both we and he also with whom the cup is found.
Okay, so Joseph is Salakia, not Joseph. So Judah, the fourth born, is speaking right now to Joseph, saying, what can we say? What can we do? You know what I'm saying? Right now we are servants right along with the youngest who this cup was found with. We all at your mercy right now. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, he told his father, if I don't return with Benjamin, it's my fault. It's on me. You know what I'm saying? He told his father that so that he could not return without his little brother, or all blame falls on him and him alone. This is the deal that he made with his father. So of course he's the one right now reasoning with Joseph when Joseph asks. And he asked him, what can we do? What can we say? We all your servants. Ain't none of us gonna return right now. There ain't no point in it if we go back there without our little brother, who Joseph on the other end is trying to keep with him because this is his little brother who he loves. Same mother, same father once again. He's not looking to the water. He's not looking to let that brother go out of his sight again. He want to keep his brother there with him, of course. Like I said, if you got a loved one, a brother, a sister, your mother, your father, who you hadn't seen in years, and you finally can lay eyes on them, you ain't gonna want to let that brother or sister or mother or father go, uncle or whatever. You're not gonna want to let them go. So read on.
Come, another one come. Verse 17, he said, God forbid that I should do so. But the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant. And
what he's saying now is, God forbid that I do so. Why would I keep all y'all? The man who stole the cup, who we found the cup on, that's who got to stay as the servant, which was Benjamin. Read on.
Come, come. But the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant.
He shall be my servant, read.
And as for you, get you up in peace unto your father.
As for the rest of y'all, get up and go unto your father in peace. Nothing is going to come upon y'all. Y'all good. Go ahead.
Come, on one come. Verse 18, then Judah came near unto him and said, O my Lord, let thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ears.
So basically, Judah got up and went up to him close like, man, let me holler at you. Let me holler at you over here. It's that same thing that we do. Like, look, hey, man, let me holler at you over here, man. He took it to a one-on-one between the two of them. I need to get at you right quick. Let me put some in your ear. You know all the little terms that us as black people got to say, basically, let me holler at you one-on-one in secret. That's all he was saying to him. Go ahead.
Come, on one come. I pray thee, speak a word in my Lord's ear, and let not thine anger burn against thy servant, for thou art even as Pharaoh.
All right, so I'm gonna holler at you over here, man, but don't get pissed off at me, cause that's just like Pharaoh getting pissed off at me, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no problems. Basically, is what he's telling him, man. Don't get mad at me for what I'm about to say. Read on.
Khan, I don't want Khan. My Lord asked his servant, saying, have ye a father? Salakia. Khan, Khan. Verse 19. My Lord asked his servant, saying, have ye a father or a brother?
He asked Joseph. This is Judah talking to his own brother, not knowing, and say, do you have a father or a brother? You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine being Joseph at that time, and your own family don't even recognize you after years and years and past, after they done sold you off into servitude. And one of them asks you, like, he trying to reason with you on something, and he asks you, do you have a father and a brother? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, nigga, shit. You my brother. Your father is my father. But, you know what I'm saying? He got to keep his silence at this point in time right now. Go ahead, read on.
Come. And we said unto my Lord, we have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. Verse 21. And thou sayest unto thy servants, bring him down unto me, that I may say, father would die. Verse 23. And thou sayest unto thy servants, except your youngest brother come down with you, ye shall see my face no more. Verse 24. And it came to pass, when we came up unto thy servant, my father, we told him the words of my Lord. Verse 25, and our father said, go again and buy us a little food. Verse 26, and we said, we cannot go down if our youngest brother be with us, then we will go down. For we may not see the man's face, except our youngest brother be with us.
Okay, so basically what Judah just told him is, look, man, you asked us to go get our little brother and bring him down. We went up there, we explained to our father everything that was going down and went down, and that we can't go get no more food if we don't bring him down here to you. You know what I'm saying? We went and did all this stuff, we let him know what you said, and we brought him back down here to you. So basically right now you asked us to do all of that just so you can end up making him a servant. You asked him to come down here. You asked us to bring him down here. Now you're trying to make him a servant. And I really can't afford to do that because of this reason. Drop down to when he explained to him what he had told his father, what Judah had told his father. He had told him something like it's gonna be on me. You was somewhere close. Okay, so right now he letting him know like the promise he made with his father in order to even get his father to let them bring their brother back down there. Read.
Verse 32. For thy servant became surety for the lad unto my father, saying, if I bring him not unto thee, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever.
Yeah, he let him know. Look, I told my pops, if I don't bring it, then the blame fall on me forever, man. So you see the bind I'm in right now. I can't let you just have my little brother, man. Like, what else? You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't stay. Not that one. You can take me, but as far as Benjamin, he can't go, man. You understand? He trying to reason with them. This is why he told him don't be angry, because now he just telling him, like, I know what you said, but nah, we can't do that. Not after what I just told my father, I can't do it. It's going to kill him. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Read on.
Verse 33. Now therefore I pray thee, let thy servant abide instead of the lad, a bondman to my Lord, and let the lad go up with his brethren.
Take me as a servant. Let the young man go back up with the rest of the brothers, man. I'll be your servant. I'll be your bondman. I'll be your slave. Just let him go back. You know what I'm saying? Don't take him. I'll take the blame for what he's done. Read on.
Verse 34. For how shall I go up to my father, and the lad be not with me, lest peradventure I see the evil that shall come on my father?
Yeah, so how can I go back what he's saying is, how can I go back to my pops if my little brother ain't with me? I know the evil that's gonna come to my father if this is. This the last son that he got with that wife. His brother is dead, which he ain't, because he's talking to Joseph. He just don't know that Joseph alive, or that the person he talking to is his brother that he sold into captivity. He don't know this at this time. So in his mind, he's reasoning with him, telling Joseph, like, look, the only two sons he have, one died, and one right now you're trying to take into servitude, man. How it's gonna look and what's gonna become of my father if I take him back. I know the evil is gonna come of my father. He shall die if I go back without Benjamin. Read on.
Genesis 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him.
He couldn't hold it no more. He couldn't refrain it. He couldn't hold his peace no more. Read on.
And he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
So basically, he was overwhelmed with his brother telling him this. Like, remember, this process has been an emotional process for him the whole time because, like I said, imagine having that brother you hadn't seen in so many years, that you've missed for so many years, that you love deeply, and he's right in front of you, but you can't even tell him who you are. You can't speak to him. You can't hug him. You can't do none of that. Not yet. Not right now. And they talking to you, and then your other brother come and plead with you to not take that brother that you hadn't seen, that you missed for so long. And all these different things got to him. And he said he couldn't hold it no longer. And he sent every man out. The only people that was left in there was him and his brothers. And he cried out to his brothers. And he revealed himself to them. He revealed who he was to them, his identity to them, and let them know who he was at this point in time. Remember, they thought he was dead as well. Read on.
And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. Verse 3, and Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph, doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt.
He said, it's me, your brother, man. I am him who you thought was dead, the one you sold off into Egypt. This is me, man. Because they looked at him and couldn't speak, because they was like a little thrown off by it. You know what I'm saying? They said he was troubled, which means a little bothered by it, a little thrown off by it, because they thought he was dead. They just knew for sure he had passed away, and it was just Benjamin left. Now you telling me this dude who been talking to us crazy in the beginning and trying to keep our brother that's the big shot out here in Egypt that we getting his food from is Joseph. This is our brother that we sold into servitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, for one, how should we feel? Last time we seen you, we was doing some messed up ish to you, man. You know what I'm saying? Now you here looking out for us. You done sent us back with money. Now you right here crying out before us, letting us know this is you. This whole time it's been you. Read on.
Verse 5. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
Look, don't be mad at yourself, man. Don't beat yourself up. Don't even worry about it. You all good with me. Don't let it be heavy on yourself. For God, for the Most High, sent me here before you, basically to pave the way, to prep it for you to come here and live good. This was the Most High's plan the whole time. So don't be mad at yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? He basically broke it down to him. And this is brotherhood at its finest. When you agree, Michelle? Forgive thy brother how many times?
7 times 70, I want.
And this was about 90% of that, man, because you sell me into servitude, I'm going to be pretty pissed off at you. I don't know if I'm that, I don't know if I got that much brotherhood. I'm quite sure eventually over time, maybe though, Michelle. But yeah, see, and then basically, go ahead, read on. Go ahead, I don't want to give it away.
Verse 6, for these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest.
Remember, it's supposed to be 7 years of famine. It's been 2 so far. They got 3 more years where it won't be much food or drink in this land. Go ahead.
Verse 7, and God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance.
So he said, the Most High sent me before you into this land so I could preserve you prosperity. I could preserve you a good place in the land where you don't starve and have to struggle through this famine. It wasn't for them to do so. So the whole time it was the Most High plan when they sent their brother, they sold their brother into servitude, that this day shall come to where he is the reason they're able to go into Egypt, and he is the reason they're going to be able to live well through this famine. Read on.
Verse 8, so now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt.
He has made, it wasn't you who sent me here. It might have been you that sold me into servitude, but this was the Most High's doing that sent me here. For you. This was the Most High's doing that made me like a father unto Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? This was the Most High's work that made this so. That made me ruler of all the land in Egypt. Read on.
Verse 9. Haste ye and go up to my father and say unto him, thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not.
Go up and tell our father, tell my father, that for one, I'm alive. This is what it's going to tell him for one, that Joseph is yet alive. And let him know that I am the ruler over all the land of Egypt. I'm the man down here. You know what I'm saying? So be hasty. Quickly. Hurry up. Snap, snap. Go do it. You know what I'm saying? Make this a fast process. Read on.
Verse 10. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast.
Go, and thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen. He gave them land, and he said you should be near unto me, which is clear as day. You shall be close to me. You, your children, your flocks, your children's children, they going to be right there with their brother. You know what I'm saying? Is what he told them. Go and tell your father, go retrieve him. I got y'all, basically. Read on.
Verse 11. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. Verse 12. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. Verse 13. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither.
Yep, so go back and tell my father of all that you've seen. Let him know that I'm the man in Egypt. Tell him of my glory here in Egypt, and bring him back and let him know everything that you've seen here. Tell him these stories so you can bring him back quickly. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't got to suffer through this famine. Read on.
Verse 14. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck.
He embraced his brother in tears. And his brother embraced him back in tears, man. Hadn't seen each other in years. Benjamin thinking his brother, his only other brother, his mother had died. And they finally seen each other, man, and embraced each other in brotherhood and love and wept. Read on.
Come. Verse 15, moreover, he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after that his brethren talked with him. Verse 16, and the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come. Yeah. And it pleased Pharaoh well and his servants.
So when he finally gave in and wept aloud, the other servants in Pharaoh's house heard it. And they went and spread the news like Joseph's brothers are here. You know what I'm saying? They got back to Pharaoh, that his brothers were there with him. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, this was somebody who Pharaoh well respected and admired in his land, so much so he made him second in command. You know what I'm saying? So he's down there with his brother in our history. going into Egypt. You know what I'm saying? So with that spirit, you want to keep that spirit, man. Remember this class is entitled what, Masha? The Road
To the Passover.
to the Passover, part 1. The road to the Passover. So here in the road to Passover, we find brotherhood. We find brotherhood in the road to Passover, which we and I at SBK do present that because a lot of us can't just make it on our own. But guess what? Brotherhood will get us there. You know what I'm saying? Brotherhood is going to make sure we all make it there to celebrate the lowest Passover. There's no doubt it should be no doubt in your mind that you can't go because of a certain situation. The brotherhood will help you. So here it is right here, the spirit of brotherhood. You're going to see a lot of other things going on along this road to the Passover is what we calling it. This class is part 1. But yeah, so the word has spread to Pharaoh, and he just heard about it. Read on, Masha.
Kamakar. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, say unto thy brethren, this do ye. Laden your beasts and go, get you unto the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat of the fat of the land. Verse 19, now thou art commanded, this do ye, take your wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones, and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Verse 20, also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours.
So basically right now, Pharaoh heard it, man. You know what I'm saying? So Pharaoh right-hand man, his brothers that came through, you know what I'm saying? He gonna look out for him just as much out of respect for his right-hand man, which was Joseph at the time. You know what I'm saying? Second in command in Egypt. Somebody he said was like a father to him, right? And so he told him, shoot, I'm going to hook you up even more, man. Go and get your family, your wives, take these wagons, laden your donkeys, man. Go and get your father. Don't worry about your stuff. I'm going to give you the fatness of the land, which means the best of the land. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get the best of it all. You're going to live good here, and he was going to make sure of it. Don't even worry about your stuff, man. Go get your people. Come on back down. It's on us. That's in a nutshell of today's term of what Pharaoh told him. Read on.
Come. Verse 21, and the children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the way. Verse 22, to all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment.
Yep, there go that extra brotherhood for his little brother Benjamin. He gave him all changes of clothes, but for Benjamin he gave him what?
300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment.
He got 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothes. You know what I'm saying? That's his little brother, man. That's his favorite brother, obviously. You know what I'm saying? That's the brother he favored, right? So go ahead, read on.
Verse 23, and to his father he sent after this manner, 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. Verse 24, so he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said unto them, see that ye fall not out by the way. Verse 25, and they went up out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive.
Joseph is alive, Pops. That son that you thought had died is alive. And not just that, read on.
And he is governor over all the land of Egypt.
Over all the land of Egypt. He the man down there in Egypt, Pops. Read on.
And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not.
He like, man, here you come with this BS right here. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't mean he passed out. It said his heart fainted, which means it's just like, y'all niggas, man. What? You know what I'm saying? He was in disbelief of what they was talking about. Read on.
Come. Verse 27. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived.
Once he seen that, he looked at all these wagons. He like, okay, they might not be BSing around here, man. You know what I'm saying? The spirit listed. You know what I'm saying? Because he looking like, yo, it got to be something to it. Y'all just pulled up with wagons. You left here with just sacks on a donkey. You done popped up with wagons. You got to change your clothes. Yeah, you might be right then. You know what I'm saying? That could have been the truth right there. How much time we got? Oh no, we Tawab. All right. So you might be on to something. His spirit picked up. Read on.
Verse 28. And Israel.
You know what? That's enough, man. Joseph alive. I'm about to go see him, man. I gotta go see him before my time is up. Before I give up the ghost. Before I pass away. Before I die, man. This is us. This is how we ended up in Egypt. This is why we went there. We went there on perfectly good terms. Under the Pharaoh that was that made Joseph the right hand man.
That's right.
Now, we know we got some naysayers, right? We always got the naysayers that the Bible is not true, it's just allegory only, or it's just a bunch of stories that make you think a certain way or feel a certain way. Well, we went and looked up a 7-year famine. Can you pull this up? It was written in hieroglyphs on a stone. This is not the Bible that we just pulled up. This is hieroglyphs that was written in Egypt. Not by me, not by Mashad, not just for this. These are hieroglyphs carved in stone right here. What was the name of this famine?
What was it? I don't have it in front of me, otherwise.
Oh, okay, no sweat. You know what I'm saying? So, this famine, I'll get the name for you.
The famine stealer.
The famine
stealer.
Stealer?
Stealer. The famine stealer.
I'm going to read it for him. Hold up. Oh, I got it right here. If you want to read more about this, some references is Miriam, the Ancient Egyptian Literature, the Late Period, University of California, Press Berkeley, 2006. Another one is William H. Hollow and K. Lawson Younger, The Context of Scripture, Monumental Inscriptions from the Biblical World. Okay, so those are two references you can find this under. And the Famine Stela, S-T-E-L-A. The Famine Stela is an inscription written in Egyptian hieroglyphs located on Sahel Island in the Nile near Aswan in Egypt, which tells of a 7-year period of drought and famine during the reign of Pharaoh Djoser of the 3rd dynasty. So, y'all like to say that the Bible is untrue. It ain't real. It's written by man, which the hieroglyphs is written by man as well. All that stuff you see on the walls and the pyramids is made by man. The books you study in college is made by man. So I'm not sure what point that proves to say it's written by man. I don't know what was written here that wasn't written by man anyway. I mean, I don't know. That loses me. So I'm not sure what point that proves or what makes you bring up that point anyway. But here you have it, you Egyptian lovers and blackity blacks, as Cap call them. Here you go. It's right here in hieroglyphs. We didn't write it. That wasn't the Bible. This is the Egyptians writing of a 7-year period in which there were famines. How would that be in Scripture if the Scripture wasn't real? Y'all believe everything else they carve on a rock. Mm-hmm. Does that make this any different, or can you go ahead and admit that in these Scriptures there's something real about it? We tell you everything is real about it. You know what I'm saying? You can find through history all that is talked about if it's not a lost history. You know what I mean? So this is true black history right here. Hebrew Israelite history. When we came into Egypt, how we ended up in Egypt due to this famine that was 7 years. I'm not saying this was the famine that was exactly it. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying it was. I'm saying that this speaks of a 7-year famine, just like the Scripture said it was a 7-year famine in Egypt. Look it up. I gave you 2 resources that you can go find it on your own and read it on your own. Me and Mashah is not making this up. The famine stela was inscribed into a natural granite block whose surface was cut into the rectangular shape of a stela. The inscription is written in hieroglyphs and contains 42 columns. The top part stela depicts 3 Egyptian deities. In front of them, Joseph faces them, carrying offerings in his outstretched hands, a broad fesher, which already was there at the time of creating the stela. You know what I'm saying? It said in the inscriptions, the story told on stela is set in the 18th year of the reign of Joseph. The text describes how the king is upset and worried as the land has been in the grip of a drought and famine for 7 years during the time the Nile has not flooded the farmlands. You know what I'm saying? So right there is proof that Egypt has experienced 7 years of famine. True facts. It was not hidden. It's right here. Just the information age is right there at your fingertips. Me and Michelle put our fingertips to work, and boom, we got history right here. Showing you outside the Bible. Not that we need it, but it's for those other Israelites who want to identify themselves as African. That's up to you. But when you speak on the scriptures, don't try to down us for coming out of the scriptures as if this is not a history book. As if this is not our history book. Black, Native, and Hispanic people, this is our history book. We are giving you the history every Monday from 6 to 8. And right here we present you with the picture. We gave you the name. We gave you references. All you got to do is get on your Google machine. You know what I'm saying? Get on there, get on your Google, and type it in. Read what you got. Check out the books that I just told you about. The authors I just told you about, and you got it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't hard to do. Next week, we're going to get more so off into the downfall of the Hebrew Israelites in Egypt. That's in, I think we'll be starting with Exodus 1:1. When a Pharaoh came that knew not Joseph. And he had an issue with the Hebrew Israelites that we'll get into the reasons why and all of that. And as we stated in the title, this is going to be the road to Passover. This is part 1. And if we could, we'll keep going, man, because it gets so deep and so heavy into this that it goes crazy. So we're going to get off into that next week, man. You know what I'm saying? With that, I'm going to say shalom. Ain't no sweat. That's it. You two out.
ISUPK presents the Lord's 51st annual Passover.
Yo, this is crazy, y'all. We in the arena. Okay, I can't explain to you the level that is. This place is going to be packed with the children of the Lord shouting in one word and one name to them all.
On Thursday, April 9th, 2020 at sundown, we're going to be holding the Lord's 51st annual Passover.
I ain't a people pleaser. I don't like people either. I don't care if you're not the jigger and wanna meet you. Just give me my mother.
We're going to be located at the Westchester Town Center, 198 Central Ave, White Plains, New York, 10606. $100 for all adults 17 and over. Kids are for free. Start sending in your funds today. For booking information, check us out on the ISUPK 51st Annual Passover Facebook page. More updates will be available soon. Last but not least, Israel, Commandant General Yohana will be accepting the men willing to stand for the Hebrew Academy 2021. The Lord's 51st Annual Passover.